Welcome to the Daily Thunder podcast. It's Cray here for the first time with Austin from All Things Thunder at all_things_OKC. Did I get that right, Austin?
Yes, sir. That's right, on Twitter and TikTok.
Yeah, so Austin runs a really fantastic account like ours, covering all things Thunder, putting out good thoughts, sad thoughts, frustrated thoughts, angry thoughts tonight after Game 6. So we'll just start there. Thunder get trucked. Really, in the second half, game gets away from them. Spurs had the chance to eliminate the Spurs on the road. Kind of close in the first half. Game completely spirals out of control for the Thunder in the second half, and Spurs just run away with it. 27-point win, I believe.
I think so.
And so we're going to Game 7. Thunder fans are so excited about a Game 7 that didn't have to happen, but now it will. At least it'll be in Oklahoma City. But yeah, what are your just kind of initial thoughts, reactions to the game and the Thunder dropping this one in San Antonio?
Yeah, I mean, my initial thoughts, we were talking kind of before we hopped on. I expected this. This was maybe a little worse than I expected, but the Thunder, to me, are going to have to prove that they can handle games like this before I start believing in them before the game starts. Like, if you go back to last year, it's been a short and small sample size with this Thunder team in the postseason. But if you go back to last year, you look at starting in round one, you go up 2-0, you've got a chance to slam the door on the Grizzlies. They go up like 30 points. You still win the game because John Morant gets hurt, but you're like, okay, Thunder didn't come with the right energy there. No big deal. You sweep them. You move on. Denver, similar situation. I actually thought that game 6, they actually played pretty well, all things considered. And, it was just kind of a close loss towards the end. Timberwolves got a chance to go up 3-0 on them when you get to Minnesota and you lose by 30. It just feels like that's kind of how the Thunder roll. You have a chance to win the finals on the road in game 6 and you don't show up. Like the Thunder, for whatever reason, when they back teams into the wall against the wall, just don't really seem to have the energy and the execution to match like elimination level urgency from other teams. So yeah, I mean, I actually thought all things considered, they played a decent first half. Like for that to be single digits, I thought was kind of a big deal. And I thought, okay, maybe this is going to be the Thunder's chance to push a young team late and make them fold, and the complete opposite ended up happening.
Yeah, so one, it's the Spurs. So I do think there's a temptation to underrate
Yep.
the Spurs, and they've played with this force before, and they tend to have this every other punch in them, right? Especially Wemby, where they just seem like they're unstoppable for stretches with the energy they play with, and then on the off games they feel gassed, and like the Thunder are just punking them. But the Thunder were 8-0 heading into the series. So on the one side, you can say it's been a different postseason, but also I think we also don't think the quality of competition in rounds 1 and 2 are like that of the Timberwolves or the Nuggets, from years past. And yeah, I mean they won the championship. It's hard to complain too much. They win the title, but and they didn't. It's not like they lose a ton of games. They're not going stretching out a lot of these games. They take those sweeps when they can, but it does seem to be like, man, does it have to be this hard?
Yeah.
Do they
Well,
not
and
have that? Yeah.
I think that's what kinda scares me. It is, I actually don't think it's a big deal when you do that against the Timberwolves or, like, many of these other teams. But and I tweeted this earlier, like, I hope it's not Saturday. I don't think it'll be Saturday. Like, I think the Thunder are gonna win this game. But, like, if the Thunder keep doing this, eventually, like, you're gonna get caught in a game 7 where just shot variance doesn't go your way, where you just have one off night, and that's what scares me. Like, I completely agree with what you said that the Spurs are an unbelievable team. I think if the Thunder win, this is probably the best team they've beaten the playoffs in years. But that's what scares me is it's like, yeah, they're gonna come out with their best punch, and you're gonna struggle. Like they're a great team, but I'm just ready for the Thunder to push through that. Like they clearly have the talent, but it just wasn't tonight. And so yeah, I just hope that it's not on Saturday that this kind of trend gets bucked. And I don't think it will. Like the Thunder haven't lost 2 games in a row in the playoffs this year or last year, like really since they've been championship ready. I don't really have any reason to think it's going to happen now, but it just for my sleep tonight would have been a lot nicer if they did it in 6.
Yeah. All things equal, I'm still picking Thunder in 7.
Mhm.
I think they have shown to be the better team. Excuse me. But the crazy things happening. Anything can happen. Foul trouble, injury, God forbid. I mean, we just saw, what happened to the poor Pacers in Game 7 last year. Things can, if you just open yourself up to that game, cold shooting,
Yep.
even at
Yeah,
home,
exactly.
like a lot of things can just randomly go wrong in a NBA game. And yeah, so nothing's guaranteed and we'll see. But let's analyze what we can. I feel like we got about maybe 2.5 quarters to analyze
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
for this one. So, to begin the game, one, there was the whole will he or won't he play JDub news that was, I said it was kind of like old school NBA Twitter for about 15 minutes there of actual like confusion and jokes and things going back and forth. So I believe it I don't know if anyone had a report, but there was the vibe that maybe he was going to get to play. And then on the radio, I believe someone either had a scoop or someone said they misheard, but it was kind of half reported that he was going to suit up. And then the reporters jumped in and said, actually, we've not heard any of that. He's still questionable. No change from the Thunder, no announcement. And then, but he is active whenever, he's not in the starting lineup, but he's on the active roster. He's in the box score, but he's not in the lineup or he's not in the layup line warming up. And so, okay, he's not going to play what, just this big. And then last minute, he shows up late to the warm up layup line. So J-Dub available. He does get in about halfway through the first quarter to play. We'll talk about him later, but really the first quarter was a story of, I mean, Wimby and the Spurs just incredible shot making. Wimby was draining threes. They were all draining threes, and Shea not so much. Another one of those like, what's going on? He didn't have a terrible, horrible shooting first half, but just did not come out looking, sharp, and it wasn't going down. And then the Spurs bench extends the lead when the starters did not land quite the same haymaker punch, which that is very new. We're used to the Spurs kind of starting out strong, but for the bench to extend it, and they did again in the second half, that's where I think they got up 15 with Cornette in the game at one point. So rough, rough first quarter. Anything else you saw? Was it lucky shooting, low energy on the Thunder side,
Yeah, I
scheme?
mean,
What'd you see?
yeah, again, I didn't actually think the first half was too bad. Like, throughout the first quarter, it looked like some of the other first quarters where offensively the Spurs were starting hot and the Thunder were struggling a little bit to get clean looks and struggling a little bit with some live ball turnovers. But kind of past that, I thought the Thunder did a good job at just hanging in there. The second quarter, I think they won the second quarter. I don't have the box score in front of me. But yeah, I mean, I think live ball turnovers have been an issue for Shea. They've been an issue at times for McCain. They seemed like a bit of an issue tonight. It wasn't a huge total in the end because obviously most of these players didn't play a lot of minutes. But yeah, I mean, I think you got a healthy dose of role players shooting well at home. I think you got an unbelievably aggressive Victor Wembanyama, which we expected. But yeah, I mean, overall, I didn't think the first half was that bad. I think that there were actually a few times that I thought the Thunder used Shea well, where they kind of started him off ball, and it either resulted in a slightly easier mid range shot for him, or I'm thinking of the one play where he got a real clean, easy lob dunk to Hartenstein, kind of off a curl. It was fine. Like I didn't think it was really too bad. I didn't think there was a lot to write home about. I thought the Spurs came out with higher energy, like you'd expect in an elimination game at home. Like the crowd seemed to be rocking. But yeah, I mean, first half, I wouldn't say there was anything that really stuck out. Like Shea does seem to struggle in this matchup. Like I think he's had some better games than he has tonight, but even most of those weren't great. He's only had one night where he shot north of 50% from the field. He didn't have great effect at getting to the line tonight. I just think sometimes he's a little timid in driving. Some of that I think is the scheme he's seen. He's getting some more doubles. They're shading obviously very heavy towards him, which makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I mean, I just thought individually it wasn't anybody's best game, but they fought tough and hung in there, and then it just completely got away from him in the second half.
Yeah, so I'd say overall, I found his shot to be on the whole encouraging because his shot's been rough. A lot of that is the lack of space he has and some tough misses, but there's some rumblings on people like trying to figure out is like something wrong? Like, is he hurt? Is something off with his? I wouldn't even speculate because I don't have any reason to. But people are starting, is it just struggles or is there something limiting him physically? And then Yeah, the shots he hit in the first half were they were really, really deep. Like, he had a couple really deep twos, one with a foot on the line that was essentially a three-point distance and hit another three, so, on the one hand, I'm encouraged that he does look like he can still shoot. Okay. He is the he does he is that guy, but, yeah, I'm with you on the it works sometimes, but especially with those first 2 series with the attention he saw and just, the kitchen sink defense, that's been thrown at him. He kind of sped up his reads as those series went along and seemed to be processing faster and faster and making the right reads. And it just hasn't felt that way against the Spurs. It's part of that is the Spurs are scramble demons, right? Like they are, if you just have a split second and don't hit that pass, don't hit that window, it's too late. And it can go from an open 3-pointer for a teammate to, a pick six. So I think part of that is that, but I'm also like the passes are there are plays to make. They're not totally trapping him. They're not covering up his teammates. And he just hasn't been super sharp. He just hasn't like accelerated as the series gone on and making those reads and getting it to the right spot that he wants. He looks fine off the dribble. He's he for we thought maybe when he put Wimby on the ground one more time, like
Mhm.
maybe he's feeling himself a little more, but it's just not coming together for a full game. He's just not
Yeah.
shooting in a way that you feel like he can make anything that will put them more into desperation, more and start throwing more double teams like they were earlier this season and or in the series. And then he's also not making them pay with really quick reads and really snappy decision making, in my opinion. He seems a little like still trying to fill out every possession almost for too long.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm with you. I do think you just have to credit the Spurs, and, like, games like this, I'm not a media guy, I'm not a writer, like, I'm just a fan, and so I have a lot of interactions with fans, and fans that lose their minds over games like this more than they should. Like, I think the reality is the Spurs are just really good. Like, this is the closest thing defensively to playing the Thunder that there is in the NBA. Hands are in passing lanes. Like you just don't have, like you mentioned, as much time to sit there and really think about a pass. Like it's there for a second, and if you're a second late, you're probably going the other way. But yeah, I think some of the Shea stuff is like a little overblown. I don't have any numbers on this. I'm just thinking from what I've seen, I think part of the reason his efficiency is down is he doesn't get to the rim as much in the playoffs, and, like, especially, obviously, against, like, a team like Wimby. But I think people are like, "Wow, his shooting numbers are so down," and I'm not totally sure they're as down as people think. Like, I think a lot of the times his percentages are so high in the regular season and in, like, lower level playoff series because he's scoring so much at the rim, but he's just not even getting there. And when he does, like, he's had some pretty awesome finishes. So, like, I'm not sure his shooting is way off. It's definitely down, but I think, yeah, you just kinda have to tip your cap to the Spurs, and I also think there's just something about Shea, like, this is an intangible thing that you can't prove, but he just never gets too high or too low, and I think there's some times where just as a guy sitting on a couch who never played more than high school basketball, you're like, "Man, I just wish you had a little more of it in you," even though largely I think it's great that he's able to stay calm and not force things. But, I think sometimes when it's not his night, he's just, doesn't bother him, and he just kinda moves on. And ultimately, I think that's what makes him great, so you can't bash him too hard for that. But I think if the Thunder go on to win this on Saturday, I don't wanna just say they'll blow through the Knicks because I think the Knicks are really good and they've had a great playoff run, but they're not gonna just have near the same level of defense to throw at the Thunder, and I think Shea will look totally different, and kinda regardless of how that goes, that narrative will be over, but they just have to win game 7.
Yeah, and the Spurs can do so much because of Wimby on defense. They can get away with the ultra aggression, and it's tough. I as well on my couch don't think that I could do any better than Shea trying to put the ball on the floor and make those reads and take those shots. But let's jump to JDub. So the JDub minutes. He played. How many minutes did JDub play? We've got 10 minutes total. I don't think many people thought he looked himself. Obviously, first came back in some time, just his fifth appearance in the entire postseason. He 10 minutes, couple turnovers, one shot, 3-point shot, didn't make it. Got to the line once. I say it's not an A game. Obviously, that's not the kind of like heroic here he comes and like helps us, put our neck on the Spurs. But if he's healthy, it looked like he was healthy. It looked like he made it, and it was not. He was not in the most intense minutes and putting his hamstring at risk again. So I feel mostly positive about that he is back in the lineup and he does look okay. I don't know there's a lot to say about other than he got some burn and it didn't look great. It looked very slow to me, honestly, especially on defense. But do you think, what are your thoughts heading into game 7? Is game 7 going to be another like he's still ramping up a little bit, or is this like he's starting game 7 and going to play 40 minutes that you need him? Like, what are your
Yeah.
expectations? I haven't seen that performance.
I mean, I feel weird about it. Like I tip my cap to him for just going out there and playing. And I think there was a world where even if he's not, which he clearly doesn't seem 100%, where him being out there maybe sparked something emotionally for the guys. Like he's very good at that. It didn't happen, but I think he could have done that even where he's at. I kind of think that you've got to just ride with who's gotten us this far in this series and play him when you can. I doubt he starts. He looked slow to me too. Like I was impressed a few times. Just he did in the first quarter especially. He had some bursts where he just kind of took off down court, and I was just impressed that he was running pretty fast. I thought that was a decent sign. But yeah, the second they had him moving laterally defensively, it looked like they were trying to get the switch onto him like the whole time. It seemed like that was a bit of a problem. So I think I would probably try the same thing. If he's fully ready and this was just kind of a test, sure, give him more minutes. And if it looks good, sweet. But I think you probably have to have a fairly short leash on him. But I would play him. Like, I think he does bring energy and excitement. And there are times where I feel like he'll rip a ball off somebody and he'll go down and dunk, and it sends the Paycom in an uproar, and the momentum is just something that not a lot of players on the Thunder can replicate. And so I'd give him chances to do that. But yeah, I felt like after tonight, he doesn't look fully back, and it didn't just look like he was kind of warming up. Like he's had longer layoffs and looked better in his return than he did tonight, which makes me think he's not fully healthy, but they just wanted to see what he could give.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, even when he did get up to full sprint speed, then I was like, scared. Watching him the rest of the way is gonna just put me on edge because he's just like, it's just not a given that he'll make it through any game, and he's trying to get it out, and he's not even trying to come back too soon. It doesn't seem like, but it just seems like there's no such thing as enough rest until he gets to the off season, and we're just trying to survive any possible tweak, especially with a series as physical as this. And that was a question from Rex Locks in the chat at Rex Loss. Thanks for the question. And it was, he didn't think he was 100%. Do you think he starts game 7? Austin, you don't. I don't either. Honestly, I think he's going to be find the minutes. I'd love to see him almost exclusively against the Spurs bench, especially after tonight was such a disaster against the Spurs second stringers. So I'd like to go strength for strength, like you said, the horses that have worked, and try to match up with the Spurs straight up. Okay, Thunder fans, Cray jumping in here. Gonna do a little ad read for none other than dailythunder.com. Just so you know, we are primarily reader-supported site. We reject gambling money, futures trading. You know who I'm talking about. The folks ruining the internet and rooting Thunder and NBA coverage. We've had offers. We've been invited to join the club to boost the algorithm with tweeting charts that move the action and make people mad and play to the lowest common denominator. That's not what we're about. We're here to follow the game, give real analysis, and be genuine in our takes. So please consider logging on dailythunder.com. We have subscriptions to keep our newsletter in your inbox. We've got pregame coverage, postgame coverage, link roundups, featured articles. We have goofy stuff. We have Saturday morning cartoons with vintage clips from the Thunder past. We have playbook items with games for the nerds, crossword puzzles, Shea Sweeper, our Minesweeper knockoff. We got it all. Anything you want. If you're a nerd, if you're serious, if you like the color and the fun and all in between, sign up dailythunder.com. We've got free subscriptions. We have premium tiers for a little extra bonus exclusive stuff, including some really exciting projects we're working on that we think the audience will be excited about soon. Reject the stupidity. Check out dailythunder.com. We've got the frequent newsletter that sends you everything we got. We've got a once a week newsletter that just keeps you updated as the series goes along. We got live commenting. We've got plenty to stay engaged as a Thunder fan and not be so freaking annoyed by all the noise and all the stupidity out there. Thanks for listening to the show. Share it with a friend. Refer to someone who knows ball and stay on top of everything Thunder. Thanks. Uh, so third quarter, kind of second and third quarter together is when the game was decided. Thunder claw back in to within 7 points at the half. Very, very, very physical play from the Spurs. No flagrants or ejections happen, but there were some borderline, real tough, especially from Carter Bryant and some again, no technical, but the taunting, just flat out extended 30 seconds of taunting from Devin Vassell after a block on Chet Holmgren. Wimby crashed down onto Casey Wallace with a little extra shove. There was another clip of him yanking Dort around. I think Dort might have exaggerated that, and people were thinking that maybe he pulled Dort's hair. I don't think that's what happened. And then, of course, on the broadcast, they showed the other angle from the end of Game 5 of that I thought was honestly a conspiracy theory until I saw this angle of him whispering to Mason Plumlee and Bismack Biyombo before they come in and goon it up against Jared McCain. And they were gooning it up for sure. But they saw the other angle of him, and no, he literally said, it looks like clear as day to Mason Plumlee, hard fouls right before he goes in and throws an elbow in Jerry McCain's back. So you gotta, we're not here in the post game right now, but I would imagine the Thunder are not gonna complain or point that out. The fans will on both sides. It's been going back and forth, and a couple, not most, but a couple of the Spurs players have dropped little comments about the Thunder get away with too much, and they're just trying to even it up when they're being physical. But did you think I think there's a mixture there. I mean, I think one, if you're the aggressor, regardless of whether there's those fouls and those ugly plays, that's just going to work in your favor, regardless how the game's called. So I think that was the overall tenor of the game. I don't know. I don't know enough about Carter Bryant's history to know if he was really, you know, trying to tackle Shea a couple times that like with intent, just trying to get a cheap shot in. I didn't like seeing it. I hate seeing it. I've always said even if I can as a Thunder fan with Dort say that was a hustle, that was a reckless hustle play. He has a lot of those that it's just bodies and limbs, and it's disregard for his own health and the safety of others. And if your superstar is the one that's getting rolled over, you don't really care if he was like trying to hurt someone if he did hurt them. So I was pretty annoyed by the Carter Bryant stuff. What do you think about just the level of physicality, the way they let him play? It does seem to have gone back and forth a little bit on how tight the games are called by the refs, but just what are your impressions of how that played out tonight, at least?
Yeah, I mean, without looking at free throw numbers or foul numbers or anything, I was fine for the most part. I'm fine with teams playing physical on the Thunder. I'll be honest, I thought the Carter Bryant thing was pretty ridiculous. Like, I I just don't know. I think it's in situations like that, I don't like that wind up impact and follow through have to be with your limbs. Like, I get it, but it's like, dude, the wind up was him staring Shea dead in the chest and sprinting at him and lifting his arms and just running through him. Like, there was wind up impact and follow through. Like, I thought it should have been a flagrant. I exchanged some messages with a Spurs fan that's pretty reasonable during the game. He said he hadn't seen that from Bryant like at all, but he acknowledged he thought it was a pretty dirty play. But besides that, I was mostly fine. Like, these teams don't like each other, so there's gonna be hard fouls, and I'm fine with that if they're reasonable in their basketball plays, even if it winds up being kinda over the top and bodies hit the floor, that's fine to me, but I thought the Carter Bryant one was pretty weak, but I agree with you. It does just feel like it kind of flips back and forth, which, like, if you're a Spurs fan, like, I would expect it to flip again on Saturday, and I would expect the Thunder to win. They're gonna come out, they're gonna be aggressive because they have to be, and I kinda just feel like this is gonna go the Thunder's way, in multiple fronts, including probably some physical calls.
Yeah, and I had just happened to dig it up before this game because everyone's the free throw disparity did decide the game through 5. I, like you, have not looked at the box score on this one. Let's see Who led 3 free throws? This is the most exciting part. Who drum roll,
Mhm.
who had more free throws? Oh my gosh. Yep, the Spurs had double the free throw 25 to 12.
Wow. Wow, that's more than I thought.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. So, noted, but, you know, typically the team that takes more free throws wins the game always in the NBA, and I dug it up. For the Thunder, what do you wanna what would you guess their win percentage is when they win the free throw battle
I mean,
for
it's
the in the regular season?
in the regular season, it's probably in the 90 percentile.
Okay, that's a little high. So I say, yeah, but 84.8%,
Okay,
84%,
84, yeah,
and
okay,
the Spurs 83%. So they're like
yeah.
and they're the top 2. Like, both of those, they are the most
Mhm,
they're also guess who's number 3rd? Detroit Pistons.
yep,
Like,
yep.
no shocker that the most physical teams, that's a part of the factors that go into winning. So it does swing, but I think, you know, crew referee teams, crews are different and call games differently, and it's very true that home crowds affect the whistle, and I think it's just a compounding thing. So when you're at home, you're gonna play harder. You're gonna, everyone's gonna be crashing down on the refs with that negative energy. The whistle's just gonna work out in your favor, and the numbers bear that out. And I say that's just compounding when it's these teams that play this hard and this physical, and also have these kind of free throw jars between Wimby and Shea. Like, it's just a perfect storm for this to just remain with us. There's also the side story side of it about like the flopping narratives and really trying to diminish Shea's achievements, which is totally silly and stupid. But I don't think it's crazy to monitor that and say, game 7, Thunder need to put the hurt on, not not the cheap shot bush league stuff, but they got to be the aggressor, right?
Yeah,
If they want to push that advantage.
and I think they will, like, it doesn't s I would be shocked, honestly, if we were looking at free throw numbers and the Thunder had had more tonight because I think that the Spurs guards just got in the paint more, and then that's kinda why sometimes I wanna see a little more aggression from Shea, like, people are gonna hate it, but I think part of his game is drawing fouls, and it's because he gets into the paint and he collapses defenses and there's bodies everywhere. A lot of them are real fouls. And so I think that's part of the issue. Like when he does settle for jump shots, even if they're mid-range jump shots that he's great at, he's not going to get quite as many calls, especially when a crowd like that is going on tonight. Which all this is like why I ultimately feel really positive for Saturday. I think that like Thunder fans are just going nuts. Like I've got guys telling me like Shea's horrible and we're gonna get blown out on Saturday. Like I think we're gonna
Trade
win.
Shea,
And
trade
yeah, I mean
Shea.
it's just crazy, man. And like I get I'm reacting emotionally. Like I'm frustrated by that game too. But there's just a lot of factors that will be different. Like the Thunder can control their effort, and that is why I get frustrated at games like this. But I know they will control their effort on Saturday, and it doesn't mean that they'll win, but it means they have a much better chance than games like tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Another kind of Rorschach test is, aside from the whistle, I think it's been Chet Holmgren, where it's like, I mean, I think the overall push, especially for fans, has been he's not hyped enough. He doesn't have the edge. He's too diminished against Wimby. He's scared. A lot of people telling to, he's had some shots blocked usually early in the game, and they're like, well, then he just like withers and stops playing with aggression. The lack of ball handlers. They're wanting Shea to be more of a backup playmaker, that kind of thing. I've been of the mind, especially through the first 4 games, that he's been excellent on defense. He's been insane. He is an ultra competitor, and offense is very difficult for him. And I wouldn't be happier with Chet if he was like constantly just getting stuffed by Wimby on purpose to show that he's like trying to go mano a mano. Like a little bit of aggression is great. And game 5, he exploded in the first quarter. That was awesome. I've just been saying like, shoot more threes. I just wrote an article, chuck it, just chuck it. Like if you're gonna do anything, we need points. Don't don't worry about the pump fake. And he had one that just drove me crazy tonight on late in the shot clock. He was open. He second guess and just like throws a grenade to Lou Dort at the end of the shot clock for a brick. And it's like, that's not even like shot quality decision making. That I do think is not in your head because you're not a competitor, you're shrinking or anything, but you're just maybe you're seeing ghosts, the decision making processing from him because he's also got blocked by the Thunder wings a few times. So I do think he's been too timid as a shot taker from 3-point land where he can get it off better. What do you think about his game? So he had a double double, 10 points, 11 rebounds, mixed, I would say. I think he's not had the same force on defense. He's not been the same kind of playmaker, rim stopper. I haven't looked at the numbers, but the last couple games, and I thought last game it was kind of masked a little bit because he did have a little bit better of an offensive performance. But the Thunder have been leaky on defense. The last couple games, the Spurs haven't had trouble scoring with or without Chet on the court. Before that, that was what was keeping the Thunder in the series was how close they were keeping it on defense. So, yeah, what did you see from Chet? Do you think he's should be doing anything different? And what do you expect for him in Game 7?
Yeah, I think this is ultimately just a bad matchup for Chet, and Chet is still a growing player. I think that he showed a lot of improvement with shooting over smaller guards this entire playoff run until we got to the Spurs. And I think he's getting rushed a little more and he's kind of going back to pump fakes and dribble drives and killing the shot clock. So yeah, I mean I think he's an easy target. People like the narrative of him versus Wimby. At the end of the day, like it's a funny narrative to me. Like I understand why, but it's like guys like Wimby's like counterpart on the Thunder is Shea, not Chet. Like those guys aren't similar players as good as I think Chet can be. So the only adjustment I'd like is the same one you said. I think he needs to just fire threes confidently because I think he's got a very, very good shot. And I think he's shown to this point that even in the playoffs, he can hit. So yeah, I mean, I am not near as down on him as so many people are. I think that even tonight he had a few pretty good plays. Like when he busted up that lob from Wimby, like that's huge. And that's not something that anyone else on the Thunder can do besides Chet Holmgren. But that's not the kind of stuff people are looking for. And I'm with you. I just think it's a bad matchup. Like the Spurs guards are so strong that they've just had so much success getting downhill and bumping him off his spot and scoring. And it's not because he's a bad defender. Like at the end of the day, he is 7'2", but he's also like 200 pounds. He's not big. And so the super strong guards have been able to just kind of go through him. And the second they get him off his spot, he can't jump and he can't block shots. It's the same way that we attack Wimby when he's on offense. Like if you bump him off his spot while he's shooting, he's not that effective. So yeah, I mean it just is what it is. Like I don't think it's a good matchup for Chet. I don't think it says anything about Chet. Like I think he's got a lot of what Shea has. I think part of why he's so calm and cool and collected is because the leader of that team is, and the whole team reflects that. And yeah, there are times as a Thunder fan that's frustrated and annoyed, you'd like a little bit more aggression, but at the end of the day, it's who he is, and I don't think it says anything about him ultimately. I would kind of expect more of the same on Saturday. I think maybe he'll be a little more aggressive offensively, but he's not going to drop 30 points in this series. Like he's just not going to do it. And I think that's fine. Like I think if he could shoot some threes confidently when the look was good, I would consider that a win. And if he can just do his best to scrap defensively, I'm happy with that. But the notion that Chet's why we're losing these games is a little silly to me. I think he's been better than people have given him credit for.
Yeah, yeah, I think he needs to be opportunistic on offense. Like he can get put. He had a put back dunk today, and also he had a chance to be tough, I guess, and challenge Wimby, and he instead pump faked and dumped it to an easy Case and Wallace layup, and that was the right play, and it wasn't him chickening out. It was making the right play and getting points on the board. But yeah, I think the offense, yeah, like that's what's kind of frustrating to me is like we're all and I do it too. We're glued to offense. We evaluate the game through offense. We just do. But when you're watching your team try to get into Wimby's body and get him off his spot and somehow flip the shot up without his big long arms get well, Chet is a 4-inch shorter version of that, and it's exactly the same thing the Spurs are doing. And it's not because Chet is scared or whatever. And also, we're watching Stephon Castle trying to survive the Thunder guards from ripping him and Dylan Harper getting ripped from Case and Wallace as well. And then it happens to Chet, and it's like, do you think Chet's a better ball handler than Dylan Harper? Like maybe we'd like him
Right.
to be further along, but these Spurs guards are nothing to mess with. They are. He can't be just like make something happen, put the ball on the floor and make something happen because now you're JDub. It's just not going to happen. So Yeah, I'm with you. I do hope he has a good game, but he keeps giving up his body. He's always going to crash at the rim. He's always going to lay it out there, and hopefully better things in Game 7. So that third quarter, looking at it was dismal to watch. Spunner went on, I think, a 20 run. Shea played almost the whole third quarter. They lose the third quarter 32-13, the fewest points they've scored all season in a quarter. And it is mainly cold shooting. They went 0 for 8 from three. Shea goes 2 from 5 from 2 and 0 for 2 from 3. And then just everyone else that touched the court, I think missed the three-pointer pretty much. So it was very disappointing. We're really ready, they clawed their way back to within 7, start off slow, but you at least think, okay, when the Spurs reserves come in, then we can, you know, get back. And it just was not happening. Isaiah Joe got some burn for the first time in a minute. Everyone was coming up short, just total cold shooting. And the Spurs, of course, were just running down their throats. And then after that, Dagnall basically, I think, did the early bird white flag where he left the a real bench mob in to open the fourth. I think he might have pivoted to more of the starters had the bench come back, but they were getting crushed by Wimby and the Spurs better units to open the fourth. And I kind of think Dagnall does that on purpose just to play the odds, to say, well, if we're gonna get back in it, we're gonna need some like hot shooting and things go our way, and let's let it happen on our second and third string guys. If they can pull it off, then bring our. But if it's not gonna happen, let's let the game get out of hand, and don't bring Shea and Chet and everyone back in for a meaningless extra 6 minutes when it's a 15-point game. So anything else from just those third and fourth quarter that you saw or think worth mentioning carrying over into Game 7?
I mean, not really. I agree with you. I felt like in game 4, the Thunder's poor three-point shooting was more of a result of bad looks. I actually thought throughout the whole third and fourth quarter, they were actually creating some pretty good looks from 3 that just weren't hitting. Like, I didn't check J Will's. I've got stats right here, let me look. Yeah, 4 from 3 for J Will. He had at least 3 of those 4 were wide open corner threes. They just didn't hit. Kaysen started hot, didn't end up shooting great. Caruso goes 1 of 3. Kenrich goes 1 of 4. Shea goes 0 of 5 from 3. I didn't know that.
Well, I underdid it. Yeah. So he was
Yeah.
not that bad from 2. Again,
Dort goes 1 of 9. So, like, it just was a bad shooting night, and that's, again, where it's like, Thunder fans, calm down a little bit. Like, for the history of the NBA, role players shoot better at home. Uh, and we just saw that our role players shot poorly in San Antonio, even though, again, I think some of that was because the process was bad. But they came home and immediately righted the ship. So, yeah, I mean, I don't have much else. I think we've covered this pretty well. Like, there really was only about a half to evaluate, and then the rest was pretty much garbage time. But yeah, I feel good going into Saturday.
well, you called out the big last question for me and from all of Daily Thunder commenting section. Lou Dort getting the start, 1
Yeah,
for 9, and another rough outing. Is that enough to finally try something else in starting lineup, or you think he's going out
no,
there
I
to start
think
the game?
I'm pretty confident he'll start. I think the Mark has shown throughout this playoffs and throughout even the regular season that when it's not there, the leash is short on him. Like, tonight was weird. I felt like he shot a bunch. He did shoot a bunch of those threes in the second half. Like, I don't blame the one you mentioned where Chet just threw him a grenade. That's not his fault to me. And he did hit early. I think he hit his first one. We know Lou Dort can get hot from 3. I don't think he can do it this year. Like, I just don't think he's in that kind of rhythm, and that's okay. But yeah, no, I'd be shocked if they made a change to the starting lineup. I think you'll see the exact same one you had tonight with McCain. But I expect in a must-win game, like, the leash is a lot shorter and you get a lot more Kaysen and Caruso. That's, there's not a lot of good that came out of tonight, but Kaysen played 20 minutes. Caruso played 21. I think if you can play those guys a ton of minutes if you need to. Shea only played 28, so there shouldn't be a whole lot of reason that these guys aren't ready to go. And guys like Alex Caruso, like, this just might need to be a game where he plays 35 minutes because he's kind of been the X factor this whole series.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be level-headed. All season I've been everyone's always wanted to kick Dort out of the starting lineup. This is nothing
Mhm.
new.
Yep.
and ready for his contract situation to help ship him off. And I've just said, if they feel like they have to play him to be their best, then I don't want him to go anywhere. And I also totally understand Dignos talked a little bit about how he views the starting lineup not so much as a who's the best or even the closers, but how he manages his rotation. And if you do need Dort in your rotation somewhere, it's hard to bring him off the bench. And especially with guard heavy. Now Santo is not the same type of guard that he is best at like face guarding and really shutting down, like a Jalen Brunson that would be coming up, those kind of
Mhm.
matchups. But, his advantage as a player is going up against that kind of strength on the other side. And if you're bringing him in against the second string, also not again alongside your best offensive players for the Thunder, it really diminishes his value. So if he's gonna play, it does make sense that you start him. I do think it might be 90 seconds, depending on how like that's what my thing. Like you mentioned Caruso's a big one to me. Like I do think Caruso should just give Caruso the start. Like there's no mystery. There's no mystery on what he can do and how much more of a force he can have on both ends against Victor Wembanyama, their best player. I just think go for it, right? Like why are we gonna allow in a game 7 start in a hole if we think that's the most likely? And it's the evidence says it is most likely the Thunder will go in a hole with that kind of lineup dynamic start. So I'm not super upset, also because I do have seen pull that hook out very quick in these first fourth quarters after trying to survive a little bit. But I wish it was a better balance, just like heater starting lineup,
Yeah.
especially at home, like for
Yep.
that momentum, like take the wind out of their sails. I don't want to need the home crowd to catch up and then get downhill. I'd love to just start ahead and keep building that lead.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know
I
that it's going to
agree. I
change.
I think, like, the easy answer to me is replace him with Kaysen 'cause I do think there's some weird kinda energy dynamic with Caruso coming off the bench, and, like, I think if you could put a starting lineup out there that can hang offensively with the Spurs, and then that kinda second wave of energy hits when he comes in, like, that'd be perfect. And, Kaysen's been awesome this series. Like, there's been a lot to look at.
He's a top
Yeah.
5 Thunder player of the series for sure.
Absolutely, and I mean, I agree with you that I don't think these guys are the best guys for Dort to defend. Like, I think he can defend Fox pretty well, but, like, you don't need to defend Fox well right now. Like, he's just not got it regardless of who's on him. And so, but Kaysen's been, like, eating. I mean, like, that guy's hands against these San Antonio guards has just been unbelievable. So, like, that's probably where I'd go, but I try not to question Mark much. He gets hate, and I just don't understand it. I think he's an unbelievable coach, but I do think I doubt the starting lineup changes, and I for once would probably disagree with him on that, but we'll see.
Yeah, and we'll see, we will see. We've said that a couple times. That's all we can say for game 7 is, who knows? We'll see, but we'll get to it. Prediction, I've got the Thunder winning, and I do think if they win, it'll be comfortable. I'm not saying they couldn't win a close game at home, but I just feel like if it's the Thunder's night, it'll be the Thunder's night, and I'm picking them to win in game 7 regardless of who starts. I feel like that is one thing. I'm really disappointed that the Spurs minutes were low, but also the Thunder's minutes were very low tonight because of the blowout. So like you said earlier, like the 10 man, 11 man, whatever it's averaged out to this series has been awesome. It has been advantage. The Spurs have looked tired compared to the fresh legs of the Thunder a lot, but it's game 7. There's no tomorrow. Like, let's see those starters be fresh
Yeah.
because of that deep rotation you've used all season or all series, excuse me, and season. And let's figure out what's work and pull a Mitch Johnson and keep that unit going and keep pressing that advantage for as much as you can for the duration of the game. So how do you see it playing out?
Yeah, I think the Thunder win, and I kind of agree with you. The only way I know how to look at this is by looking at similar series the Thunder have had in the past, and those are the Nuggets and the Pacers. And, like, yeah, the Spurs are better than both those teams, but I think the Thunder is better than the Thunder team of last year. And in both those games, the Thunder ended up winning comfortably. Like the Pacers game was a little tighter, but a lot of that, like Shea was just jacking hero threes late to try to make a statement. But the Thunder ran away and basically rested the entire 4th quarter against Denver. I don't think it'll be like that. Like, I think you'll have to play your guys, but I think the Thunder are gonna win, like, for all the reasons we've said. I think the Thunder will have the level of energy and physicality that they need. Because of that and the home crowd, they're probably gonna get a slightly more favorable whistle than tonight. Your role players are gonna shoot better at home, and the Thunder offense, even tonight, generated really good three-point looks. So, yeah, I think the Thunder are gonna win. Like, I absolutely agree with most Thunder fans that I wish it had just ended tonight, and it does suck that you leave them an opportunity to have a one-off crazy game where Wemby becomes the best player in the NBA, but I just don't think that's gonna happen. I think Shea will have a bounce back. It's probably not gonna be crazy efficient, but I agree with you that I have the Thunder winning somewhat comfortably and looking in control most of the game.
Yeah, I've said it all season. I'll tip my hat to Wemby and the Spurs if and when they knock off the champs, but they haven't, and I'm not going to crown them before they do. And there's on paper, by the numbers, by experience, by what we watch, they're Wemby and the Spurs are not inevitably. They're not the inevitability that people have wanted them to be.
Yep,
I mean, they
agree.
after game 1, the entire world was ready to say, "Oh, it's over. It's over. Wemby's here. It's over." And it's not. I'm sorry. The Thunder are the reigning champions. They've faced these battles before. They are better than last year. They're hobbled very badly now, so that the, Thunder of 4 weeks ago, much better.
Yeah.
I wish
Well,
that was
and
the roster.
yeah, I mean, last thing for me, like, unless you have other questions, like, I do just genuinely think through 6 games, like, I think it's pretty objective to look at the series and say the Thunder are the better team.
But yeah, yeah.
Like, I think the Spurs are really, really good, but the Thunder just look better. I feel like the only mistakes that they're making are just not matching like energy and attack and physicality, and that is something we've seen from the Thunder so many times. So, like, I'm not worried about them swinging that around. Outside of that, like, the Thunder look better. The Thunder role players look better, like, everyone looks more comfortable. They look more fresh. They look like their experience matters, and, I mean, every single metric that we have for the history of the NBA just says the Thunder should win on Saturday. And I do agree that this Spurs team is different than other teams, but they're not that different. Like,
And they've never played
every
an elimination game on the road,
yeah,
ever.
exactly, and
Yeah.
every team has to get experience, and I think they will be like the Thunder where they might not need as much experience, but, like, they're not gonna do it. Like, I don't think they're gonna win this game Saturday. I think Thunder fans have every reason to be confident, and I think you're just gonna see, like, even if the numbers aren't perfect, like, I think we're just gonna see an in control Shea, and I think that will win you the game. Like, it might not be super efficient, the jump shots might not fall, but, like, that guy is not gonna get rattled compared to a guy like Wemby, who we've already seen get rattled so many times in these playoffs.
That is so the Shea factor, that's my last thing. He has not had a
Yeah.
knockout game. I
Mm-mm.
really thought tonight would look different from him, honestly. When we were just joking earlier that, one of our commenters was, speculating that he's up at night too long with his baby, and he needs to check into a hotel back home to get some more sleep, because but this has been like, we've been here before with Shea. He's not always been lights out for the entire playoffs, but it was a couple years ago when they did come up short against the Mavericks, and I was like, why doesn't Shea just like the offense is struggling? Why didn't he just jack? Why didn't he have a
Yeah.
rust game where he's just like going to
Yep.
jack 40
Yep.
shots?
Yep.
You want that? We're conditioned to want that. He's just not that player, and in the long run, it bears out better that
Yes.
he's not that kind of player, but it's so hard not to say, "What do you got?" Are you gonna score 4? Because he
Yep.
can,
Yeah.
but he does when it's the right play after the right play after the right play after the right play. It's not because I'm going out to get 40 tonight. That's just not what he does. So it's like you say, it's set that not too high, not too low, whereas fans were just like, "Go get your 40 or 50 piece." He's not gonna approach it that way. He's just not, and the evidence has said that that is what the Thunder need to win, and that is what is most likely to happen, but it is tough to not, I guess, to anticipate a 25 to 30 point game being the very most likely outcome
Yeah.
from your superstar.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I think long term, like, I just think Shea looks at the game so well. Like, it would be easy for him to go out there and jack up a lot of shots like Russ, but I'm gonna tell you what would happen if he did that, we'd lose more. Like, there would probably be games where he shoots 40% from 3 on 10 attempts, and he shoots 28 times, and it's awesome. But that's just not who he is, and we just have to trust, like, that that's better. Like, we've won a title from that. We've had multiple 60-win seasons from that, like 3 first seeds in the West in a row. Like, it is better, and I get as frustrated as anybody. Like, I just want and part of it, I think, is just, like, the narrative of it. Like, I'd love for him to just go out there and, like, flip the kill switch and take over. But I'd argue, like, he does take over. It's just sometimes more as, like, a floor general than it is a guy that's just hunting his own shot every single game, and I like, that's not gonna change. Like, I would love for it to change on Saturday, but it's not, and ultimately, like, I think that's gonna pay off. Like, he's at home. I think he'll be ready mentally, and I think that he'll make the right reads, and he'll make just enough shots, and the Thunder will be back in the finals.
Yeah, and all to say, if tonight was game 7 and they were down 25 points, he would be I think he'd be jacking.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
the actual desperation, but he's not gonna win the game that way.
Yes.
And the other thing we don't see is the negative side of him not, when a star goes out there with that desperation, they're turning it over. They are crashing over and over and over, trying to get a foul, trying to get a layup, and the other team is getting out in transition. And those are like the invisible parts of the game. Yeah, when Shea has 5 turnovers, we're like, is he like, what is wrong? Is he
Yeah,
hurt?
what
And it's like
he
that's like
broke his hand. Yeah.
yeah, some superstars have every game averaging that, And so he's winning on the margins too, not just but it's just hard. It's hard to appreciate and fully like level-headed understand what's happening when you're just not watching that guy score, 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 turn it over, turn it over, turn it over, score. Yeah, that's just not how it goes. Yeah.
Well, and if the role players aren't hitting, it looks extra bad. But the
Yeah.
reality is, like, Shea keeps trusting those guys, and, like, I just think that Jay Will and Kaysen and Caruso will shoot better from 3 at home. And, like, when they do, he'll probably have, like, 28 and 9 and maybe, 2 to 3 turnovers, like, if he plays well, and, like, that's a winning formula. Like, it's not Luka Doncic dropping 50. Like, Luka can obviously he's an incredible player, but, like, that's just not who he is, and I think we just need to be okay with that.
And that's who you have to be to beat the San Antonio Spurs. And that's who the Spurs have to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like the level of competition is, the whole roster. And he understands that and knows that he needs teammates, is not embarrassed that his teammates help him win games and he's
Yep.
not the one taking all the shots. So we'll end on this. Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob, this fantastic tweet. He said, buddy, this game 7 is going to hit like Golden State OKC in 2016. Defending champs, taking the limit after a historical season, biggest threat to the Brewing dynasty, trying to turn their own potential into reality. Wimby switching sides if they lose. Wait, how did that get in there?
I love it. I love it.
So, yeah. So we'll see. It's gonna be a fun one. It'll be
It sure
intense.
is.
Hopefully, it'll be fun. Hopefully we'll have like tonight, like a 2.5 quarter maybe game to announce, and then a quarter and a half to just like be happy and all smiles and watch the Spurs guys be sat on the bench. So
That would be perfect.
that's what I'm rooting for. So thanks so much, Austin. Been great having you on. Thanks for joining the show. Everyone, be sure to follow Austin again at all_things_OKC. It's the All Things Thunder Twitter and TikTok account, and really good stuff. Follow along with the games, follow along with the stories, just like you do with Daily Thunder. And we will see you after the big one.